Hello, hello. Welcome to the Off the Cuff podcast. I'm Justin DeWeese. There's my beautiful wife, Ashley DeWeese. Just kidding. Don't correct your television sets. She's not here. She's got something else she's got to be taken care of. And so you got just me, just the big guy. And that's probably a good thing today because we teased a story a while back that we were going to tell. Um, and sorry, I had to make sure I was recording there. No visual indicators. Thanks for nothing, Zoom. Anyway, we teased a story that we were going to tell, and now's a good time to tell it because I can tell it and not get interrupted 35 times. So, good for me, good for you, good for everybody, really. Um, but I mean, of course, we're all sad that Ashley's not on here. Make sure you leave that in the comments like, oh my gosh, we missed you this week, Ashley, blah, blah, blah. Um, but yeah, so several episodes ago, I don't know how many, you can go back and look. We talked about an experience that I had had, and that experience was rather amazing to this simple guy. And there's only one possible explanation for it. So let me tell you the story, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. So as we've talked about on this podcast, we are Christians, and faith plays a very large role in what we do on a day-to-day basis, how we raise our kids, how we treat each other, all the things. um, I will be the first to admit that I do not uh, get into my Bible as often as I would like. um, I let life get in the way. It's not a good excuse, but it's the reality of the situation. um, but I do enjoy reading the Bible. And so I found myself on, I don't even know what day of the week it was, but I was still working at Foot Locker. This was way before Corona. This was probably 10 years ago now. Um, and so I was going to the office every day. And what I would do frequently is just leave the office at lunchtime. I'd take my lunch to work every day, but I would just get out of the building for a while so that I could have some undisturbed time so that I could just get away from the screens and the people and everything. And on this particular day, I went down to, there's a state fishing lake south of the building that I worked in. And so I went down there. There's a little dirt road that goes around the lake. And I set up shop and ate my lunch. And I had taken my Bible with me. And I read for a little bit as I was eating lunch. And then when I got done and I still had some time to kill, I don't even know what perpetuated this action, but I got up and I went walking down the little dirt road there, away from the vehicle. And as I was walking, I just engaged in a conversation with God. You can call it prayer, whatever you want, but I was verbally, because I was literally the only person within 20 square miles, um, verbally having it out loud, having a conversation with God. And at one point in that conversation, um, I said something along the lines of, it's sometimes hard to feel your presence because you're not here with me. And I heard, as loud and as clear as you're hearing me right now, I heard, I am with you all the time. And it was one of those moments that, like, when that happened, like, I was, I mean, even now, clearly, I was flummoxed. I was shell shocked. I started crying because, like, it was so powerful and so real and so peace giving, I guess, that I heard the voice of God in that moment. Um, and now maybe you're sitting there and you're going, you expect us to believe that, Justin? And I hear you. I'd previously heard stories like that from other people, and we're skeptical people. Um, but ever since that happened, like I don't struggle to believe those stories at all because it happened to me and it was profound and eye-opening and changing. Um, it hasn't happened since. Then again, I can probably explain that too. But that happened to me on that dirt road. Um, and like I said, it was crazy. And some of the things that I've learned, taken away, processed from that is number one, like that would not have happened had I not created the space for that to happen. Had I not taken that time to dig into the word and to have that solitude and that quiet, like I have no doubt, and this is what I was just getting at a minute ago, that part of the reason that that has not occurred to me since, potentially part of the reason that it's not ever happened in your life, is we don't allow for quiet. We don't allow for solitude and to create that space where things can happen. We're constantly filling our time and our calendars and our lives with all manners of nonsense. And it's not all nonsense, right? That's just a word to encapsulate everything. But we fill our lives with all this stuff, with Netflix and work and the things for our kids and time with our partners and yada yada yada, all the things, right? Um, but when you create space for whatever, like then that has a chance, and it's so if you're not taking time to sit, to be quiet, to have that personal conversation with God, with the universe, whatever you want to call it. Spoiler, it's God, but put whatever name on it makes you feel comfortable. If you're not creating that space, if you're not giving yourself the opportunity to hear, don't be surprised when you don't hear. Um, and that goes for so many different things in our lives. If you don't create space and time for your relationship, don't be surprised when your relationship doesn't flourish. If you're not creating space and time for your workouts, don't be surprised when you don't work out, right? We have to create or manage or whatever verb you want to use the opportunity for these things to happen. Because if you don't, all the rest of life is going to fill in those gaps. And so that was my biggest takeaway from that was that because I removed myself from everything else and took that quiet time, I had the opportunity to have that personal conversation with the God of the universe. Now, please, this comes with an asterisk. I'm not saying that if you go sit on a dirt road in the quiet and blah, 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 that the same thing's going to happen to you. It's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is if your life is full from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, don't be surprised when other stuff can't fit in. It's simple to understand, but it can be complex to execute. And that goes back to another thing that Ashley and I are frequently talking about. What are the priorities that you have? Like I said at the very beginning, I don't read the Bible as often as I would like because just to be honest with you, I don't prioritize it. The times when I am consistently and regularly doing it, I've made it a priority. And it's like, hey, when I wake up, I'm going to read a chapter, read two chapters, whatever. And then surprise, surprise, it happens because I have made it a priority. And when you make something a priority, surprise, surprise, somehow you find time for it. Because let's be honest, I'm sure you're the same way, but for me, there are a lot of things that take place in my day to day, in my goings and comings and goings and all the things that are not necessarily priorities. But because I haven't prioritized the important things, all this other stuff rushes in. So, um, that's like I said, that's the biggest takeaway is creating that space for whatever you want to have more of in your life. If you don't intentionally create that space, it's not going to have anywhere to go. The second thing is it's so very powerful, especially in the world as it is today, for us to take that quiet time to remove ourselves from the hustle and bustle and the devices and the distractions and all the things and just be. If you don't believe in God, if you are whatever, that's fine. I'm not here to twist your arm into believing what I believe. You're wrong, but I'm not going to sit here and argue with you about it. But if you want to have a calmer mind, a more, yeah, I guess I'd say positive view of yourself and the world and whatnot, you've got to figure out a way to remove all of that, to allow yourself to uh, emotionally, spiritually decompress, to step away from the distractions and the devices and all the things that come with modern day life. When you do that, it changes so many different things inside of you. And I'm not any sort of expert. I'm not, to quote Tony Robbins, I'm not your guru. Um, but it is important to have time on the regular in your life that is quiet, that is still, that is in solitude. You know, we talk about frequently on this podcast that we value time with our family, that we are constantly doing things together. Me and Ashley with the kids, one of us with the kids, et cetera, et cetera. At the same time, we also have time where we are away, where we are on our own, having quiet time, doing some reading, doing some journaling, doing whatever. Um, because, and this is going to sound kind of weird, but it allows your mind to breathe, right? When we're constantly bombarding ourselves, either intentionally or just by not stepping back, like your mind can't breathe and it becomes overloaded. And then you find yourself snapping at your kids, being testy with your coworkers, the quality of your relationship degrading. That time to just be can be unbelievably valuable to you. But again, you have to create the space for that because this world is chock full of crap that will fill up all the spaces if you let it. You have to intentionally create that space. And I guess I will leave you with this. Um, there, there is a God. There's a God of this universe. Um, and he is a good God and he does want the best for you. Um, But what frequently happens is we get in our own way. We get in the way of understanding that relationship. We don't create the space and the time to be the wonderful creations that he created us to be. We don't create the time to uh, spend with him, learning about him, conversing with him, um, any of that stuff. And so when you don't do that, you can't really be surprised when it seems like he's not there, right? If you don't, here's a really elementary example that just popped into my head. Obviously, right now, you're listening to this. I hope you're getting some value out of it or something, but right now you're listening to it. If you didn't make the time to listen to it, you could logically explain to yourself, oh, the off the cuff podcast is not there because you haven't made that time to listen to it. But guess what? We are still here. This is episode number 70. So we've been here for a fair amount of time now. But if you don't take the time to listen, it can seem like we're not there. The same goes with the God, with God, the creator of the universe, our Father. If you don't make the time, sure, it's going to seem like he's not there. The reality is he is. You just haven't created that space, given yourself the opportunity to hear that voice. And so, what I will leave you with is the encouragement to slow down every once in a while, to step away from all of the devices, the distractions, everything. And I'm not talking like, oh, you need to go to a cabin in the woods for a week. Man, just start with 5 minutes a day where you turn everything off and you just breathe. I think that you'll find if you institute that in your life, all sorts of things will suddenly seem to become better. They'll be the exact same as they were before, but giving yourself that space, the breath, the slowing down will change your perception of them. And maybe, just maybe, and again, I'm not whatevering here. You'll hear from our God. But if you don't create that space, you're almost certainly not going to. And so I know I've been a little bit all over the place here. It is what it is. It's how my brain works every once in a while. Um, I hope that you can understand where I'm coming from with this. I hope that it resonates with you on some level. I really hope that you will take the opportunity to give yourself that pause, to step away from all of the rest of it. And here's the upside of that, I guess, if you need one. When you come back, it'll all still be there. Like none of the rest of that stuff is going away. It's constant and pervasive. But if you can find the courage to step away, even if you start small, 5, 10 minutes a day, whatever, I think that you will be amazed at what happens inside of you and in the immediate world around you. So, this has been a little deeper, more spiritual episode of the Off the Cuff podcast. Um, this is what happens when she lets me do whatever I want to do. So if you enjoyed this, if you thought this was worthwhile, man, leave a comment and say, Ashley, you should let Justin do more of these solo. And if you don't think that's a good idea, then you should comment and say that too, so that she knows. Um, but either way, her and I both appreciate all of you that tune into this on the regular. Um, we wouldn't keep doing it without you. So if you did get something out of this, share it with someone else too, because maybe they need to hear it. Maybe they need to slow down and quiet their mind a little bit and give God a chance to step in. Um, but we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We want to help you in whatever manner we can. And with that, we will hopefully both be talking to you next week.